Chapter 4. The Shouting Giant. The day began quietly, filled with the familiar. The mother dozed in the nest, her tail curled around her brood, while the kittens wrestled and tumbled in the straw. The little green-eyed kitten had just finished gnawing on her brother's ear when the barn door swung open with a creak that was louder than thunder. A figure filled the doorway, the farmer. He was tall as a tree, broad as the barn beams themselves, with boots that struck the earth like hammers. His smell rushed in before him, sweat, smoke, and something sharp like oil. The kittens froze, tiny bodies rigid. Even the mother stiffened, her fur bristling, her golden eyes narrowing to slits. The farmer's gaze swept the barn, falling on the nest. For a moment, he stood still. Then his face twisted. "Blasted cats," he muttered, his voice a low rumble that made the kitten's fur stand on end. His hand slammed against the wall with a crack that echoed through the rafters. The kitten squeaked in terror, scattering into the straw. The mother hissed, stepping forward, her body arched tall, tail puffed like a bottle brush. Her growl rolled through the air, but the farmer only cursed louder. He stamped his boots, driving them back. The green-eyed kitten bolted, her paws barely touching the ground as she darted away from the thundering boots. She aimed for the barn door, for the strip of sunlight, but in the panic, she veered too far. The tall grass swallowed her whole. She stopped only when the farmer's voice was nothing but a distant echo. Her tiny body shook, her chest heaving. She turned, expecting to see her mother and siblings tumbling after her, but the grass was empty. She called out, a small, desperate mew that carried through the field. No answer. Again, louder. Still nothing. Only the rustle of stalks, the buzz of insects, and the faraway croak of crows. The truth sank in like cold rain. She was alone. The kitten pressed herself low to the earth, fear tightening around her like a snare. She thought of the nest, warm and safe, her mother's tongue grooming her fur, her siblings pressed close in sleep. That world was gone now, chased away by the shouting giant and his heavy boots. She lifted her head. The field stretched endless in every direction. Strange scents carried on every gust of wind. Her little body trembled, but inside, something old stirred, the same spark that had survived another life. If he could not return home, then she would have to make one. The kitten took a shaky step forward into the unknown, her tail low but her eyes sharp. Whatever the world held, hunger, danger, loneliness, she would face it. She had no choice. Her new life had truly begun. Chapter 5. The First Night. The sun dipped low, bleeding orange and gold into the horizon. The kitten crouched in the grass, her small body almost invisible in the shadows. Each minute away from the barn seemed to stretch forever, the sounds of the world growing louder and stranger. Her belly ached with hunger. She had never gone this long without her mother's milk, never felt the sharp emptiness that clawed inside her now. Her nose twitched at every smell. Earth, damp leaves, the faint musk of mice. Her instincts stirred, urging her to hunt, though she barely knew how. A rustle made her ears prick. Something moved nearby. Small, quick, alive. She lowered her body, tail flicking, and waited. When the creature emerged, it was only a beetle, clumsy and glittering in the fading light. She pounced anyway, batting it with her paws, biting down on its hard shell. The taste was bitter, wrong. She spat it out and shuddered. She wanted her mother. She wanted warmth, safety, the rough comfort of her siblings' fur. But all she had was grass and darkening sky. As night fell, the world grew colder and more dangerous. The hoot of an owl drifted down from the trees, followed by the rush of wings. The kitten froze, pressing herself flat. Shadows slid across the ground as the hunter circled above. Her heart hammered. She knew without knowing how that if she moved, she would be seen. The owl passed. When the silence returned, she dared to breathe again. But fear lingered, heavy and sharp. She was small, defenseless, and alone. Curling into a hollow between roots, she tried to make herself smaller still. The earth was damp beneath her, the night sounds unending, the chirp of crickets, the croak of frogs, a distant yip of something far larger. Her ears twitched at each one, her body trembling despite her attempts to stay calm. And yet, somewhere inside her, the spark of her other life whispered. She had been afraid before. She had been lost before. She had survived worse storms than this. She raised her head, eyes glinting in the dark. The fear was still there, raw and real, but beneath it stirred something stronger, determination. If she was to live, she would have to learn. Hunt. Hide, endure. The kitten tucked her nose beneath her paw, forcing herself into stillness. Sleep would not come easy, but dawn always followed the dark. And when it came, she would rise. She was not ready to die, not in this life. Chapter 6. Hunger's Lesson. Dawn broke pale and gray, a thin mist curling low over the grass. The kitten stretched where she had slept, stiff and shivering in her hollow beneath the roots. Her belly growled loud enough to startle her. The beetle from last night had been nothing, a bitter joke. She needed food. Driven by hunger, sharper than fear, she crept through the dew-soaked grass. Every scent pulled at her nose, every sound pricked her ears. Then, something new. Rich, heavy, delicious. The smell made her mouth water instantly. Meat. She followed it, paws damp with morning dew until she reached the edge of a garden. The neat rows of flowers and vegetables meant nothing to her, but the smell grew stronger, mouth-watering, irresistible. There it was, a metal bowl half full of food. Soft, fragrant chunks of meat and fat glistened inside. Her whole body quivered. She had never seen food like this, but she knew it was what she needed. Her paws carried her forward before her mind could argue. She dropped her nose to the bowl and began to gulp the food down, greedily, desperately, as though the earth itself might take it away. Then the ground shook. A low growl rumbled behind her. She froze, her whiskers dripping with gravy, her heart suddenly hammering like a drum. Slowly, she turned her head. The dog. It was massive, its dark muzzle curled back to reveal white teeth. Drool gleamed in the early light. Its eyes locked on her, and in that instant, she understood. The food was not hers. The dog lunged. The kitten bolted, her tiny body a streak of fur across the grass. The dog thundered after her, barking loud enough to split the sky. Her paws carried her with wild speed, her instincts screaming up, up. She scrambled at the rough bark of a tree, claws digging deep, pulling her higher and higher. The dog slammed against the trunk, snarling, leaping, but too short to reach her. She clung to a branch, trembling, watching as it circled below, barking until its voice grew hoarse. Finally, the farmer's whistle cut through the morning, and the beast bounded away. Silence returned, but she could not move. Her claws dug into the bark, her body pressed low against the branch. She dared not climb down. What if it waited? What if it returned? She stayed frozen, her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her paws. Then a sound, a thin chorus of chirps, high and desperate, carried from above. Slowly she looked up. Just beyond her perch rested a nest, woven of twigs and grass, trembling slightly as its inhabitants shifted. Inside, 3 baby birds opened their beaks, blind and helpless, expecting their mother to return with food. Something in her stirred. Hunger burned away hesitation. She crept closer, her small body silent, her paws steady now. The chicks squirmed, their mouths gaping wide. She struck, swift and instinctive, and the cries fell silent. The kitten ate. It was her first true meal, warm and alive, filling the emptiness in her belly at last. When it was done, she curled on the branch, licking her paws clean. Fear and hunger still clung to her, but so did a strange, undeniable pride. The world was cruel. She was smaller than most creatures in it, but she had survived. And for the first time, she knew she could.